When the power grid goes down completely, 12 familiar household items suddenly take on an entirely different value, not because they are expensive or rare, but because they restore the exact essential functions the house just lost, along with the electricity. After only 4 hours, the food in the refrigerator begins entering the danger zone. The air conditioning stops running, and heat builds up inside the walls. The phone battery drops percentage by percentage. Cell service becomes unstable, then disappears completely. Anxiety pushes people to look for alternative sources of heat and electricity. But those very efforts can unintentionally introduce a new invisible danger. One item that costs only about $15 can determine whether hundreds of dollars worth of food remains usable or must be thrown away. Another item does not generate a single watt of electricity, yet still deserves to rank above expensive power stations. And the item in the number 1 spot is responsible for warning the entire household about a danger that none of the human senses can naturally detect. 12. Refrigerator and freezer thermometer. The next morning, the power still has not returned. By natural instinct, you open the refrigerator, pick up the container of leftovers from the night before, and smell it. But that simple act of curiosity releases precious cold air. The food still smells normal. Its color has not changed. But no one can know for certain when the food inside crossed the safety threshold. If kept completely closed, a refrigerator can maintain a safe food temperature for only about 4 hours. FoodSafety.gov and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, both warn people not to taste food to test whether it is safe. Many types of disease-causing bacteria can multiply rapidly in the temperature danger zone between 40 degrees Celsius and 140 degrees Celsius without producing a bad smell, unusual color, or any other warning sign. That is why the thermometer becomes the first link that needs to be controlled. A mechanical model works for checking the basic temperature, but it requires you to open the door every time. During a prolonged power outage, a wireless sensor system costing around $20–40 offers a major advantage. Its external display lets you read the temperature without losing cold air. Separate probes allow the refrigerator and freezer compartments to be monitored independently, and some models also record the highest and lowest temperatures and sound an alarm when a set threshold is exceeded. When using a model with memory, mark down the time the outage began and never erase the recorded data before the outage is over. The current temperature tells you how warm the appliance has become, while the timeline tells you how long the food has been exposed to that environment. Both pieces of information must be considered together. Problems often begin when people use one device for 2 compartments that warm up at different rates, fail to check the battery before storm season, or look only at the current temperature and assume everything is still fine. Even more dangerous is the belief that food left warm for too long can be made safe by cooking it again. Some microorganisms can release heat-resistant toxins, so perishable food that has remained outside safe limits must be discarded according to official guidance. For frozen food, items that still contain ice crystals or remain cold enough can be evaluated for refreezing. When moving food into a cooler, you can move the sensor with it to keep confirming that the new environment remains below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. This item, which costs only a few dollars, supports accurate decisions about hundreds of dollars worth of food while helping the household avoid wasting its limited supply of ice on things that do not need to be prioritized. It provides real-world data to show exactly when action must be taken. 11. Hard-sided cooler and reusable ice packs. When the thermometer shows that the refrigerator is approaching the danger zone, waiting for the power to come back is no longer a wise choice. The supply of ice is always limited, so the challenge now is not trying to save the entire kitchen, but moving the right items that need protection first. A hard-sided cooler creates a temporary insulated zone for things that cannot be allowed to spoil. If you have time to prepare before a storm arrives, move the cooler out of the hot garage and place it somewhere cool. Food should also be transferred while it is still cold. Waiting until everything has already warmed up before putting it into the cooler only wastes ice, bringing the temperature back down from the start. The top priority belongs to medications and medical products specifically labeled as requiring refrigeration. However, each medication has different strict requirements, so follow the label or a pharmacist's advice. Never place medication in direct contact with dry ice or gel ice packs, because extremely low temperatures can damage the product. The next priority is expressed breast milk and special nutritional products. Only after that should you move perishable foods that can be eaten in the next meal. Raw meat and fish should take up cold storage space only if the household already has a safe way to cook them. When packing food, seal raw items in leak-proof bags or containers and place them on the bottom, completely separated from ready-to-eat foods above. Surround the food with gel ice packs or frozen water bottles, filling empty spaces to limit the circulation of warm air. A thermometer sensor placed inside the cooler will confirm whether this environment is actually maintaining a safe temperature. The habit of repeatedly opening the lid can ruin the entire storage plan. If conditions allow, use one cooler for food and another for drinking water. The water cooler can be opened several times during the day, while the food cooler should remain closed as much as possible. Using too little ice or placing raw meat above ready-to-eat food can both undermine this protective resource. Hard-sided coolers commonly cost between $27 and $50. For households with older adults, a model with wheels and a pull handle makes it much easier to move supplies somewhere with electricity or to a relative's home. The hard-sided cooler saves the meals that need to be eaten first and reduces the pressure to rush out looking for an open store in the middle of the chaos. 10. Manual can opener. The kitchen is still filled with canned foods: soup, tuna, beans, meat, and vegetables. None of them requires refrigeration, and those stored calories are enough to keep the entire household nourished for several days. But the only can opener in the kitchen is an electric countertop model sitting prominently on the counter. A contradiction appears. There is no shortage of food, but access to that source of survival has completely disappeared. That small bottleneck turns a $10, $20 manual can opener into one of the most important items in the house. It needs no outlet, uses no batteries, and requires no charging. As long as your hands still work, the food stored on the shelves immediately regains its practical value. However, do not choose one simply because it looks compact. The most realistic test is not the sharpness of the cutting wheel, but the hand strength of the weakest person in the household. If an older adult or someone with painful finger joints has to squeeze too hard, the turning knob keeps slipping, or the cutting wheel comes off the rim, it is not a reliable emergency option. The right tool should have wide handles with a non-slip coating, a large turning knob that provides easy leverage, and a mechanical gear system that engages consistently. Take it out and test it on the same types of cans your household is storing. Do not wait until the lights are out to discover that the tool is still sealed in its plastic packaging. The user does not know how to attach it to the rim, or the jammed cutting blade cannot handle larger cans. After using it, wipe the contact area clean, dry it, and store it right next to the dry food supply. A can opener lost at the bottom of a drawer filled with miscellaneous items loses almost all its value when the room is completely dark. During a prolonged neighborhood power outage, this tool can also create value by connecting the community. You can use it to open food for older relatives, help neighbors, or open canned food for pets. A small item that many people need can be exchanged for other practical forms of help, from information to transportation assistance. However, opening the can does not mean the food inside is definitely safe. The USDA recommends not using cans that are swollen, leaking, severely dented, or heavily rusted. Do not open them to smell the contents, and never taste them. The toxin that causes botulism cannot be detected by sight or smell. When this kitchen goes completely dark, a new obstacle immediately appears. One hand holds the can firmly, the other turns the opener, and you realize you have no hand left to hold the flashlight. 9. Headlamp. One hand holds the can of food, the other is busy turning the can opener. That moment exposes the biggest weakness of a handheld flashlight. It may shine very far and very brightly, but it always takes away half of your ability to work. Set the flashlight on the table, and the beam immediately points in the wrong direction. Tuck it under your arm, and the light shifts with every breath. Holding it between your teeth causes pain and fatigue, while also preventing you from speaking to the people around you. A headlamp solves this problem completely. The light always follows your line of sight while leaving both hands entirely free. That difference becomes clear in even the smallest tasks. You can open canned food, sort medications, wipe up spilled water, carry a small child, move a container of water, or help an older adult down the stairs without having to choose between seeing where you are going and maintaining your balance. In complete darkness, this reduces the risk of trips and falls and allows each person to complete tasks independently without someone standing nearby to hold a light. When choosing one, ignore models that advertise excessively high lumen ratings. A brightness level of around 300–400 lumens is more than enough for household and yard work. The priorities should be a low light mode to conserve energy, an adjustable lamp housing that can tilt downward for close-up tasks, a large button that is easy to identify by touch, and a secure strap that will not slip when you lower your head. The red light feature is extremely useful when moving around at night, without shining harsh light into someone else's eyes or disturbing the entire household's sleep. A button lock mode is also essential to prevent the lamp from turning on inside a drawer and draining the battery beforehand. For power, models that use replaceable batteries are convenient if you already have AA or AAA batteries stored. Rechargeable models save money but require a backup charging source. Prices from $20–50 offer plenty of durable options. A common mistake is using the highest brightness setting for every task. When reading medication labels or preparing food, the low setting provides enough light while extending battery life several times over. Do not shine the lamp directly into anyone else's eyes, especially in older adults. Adjust the strap in advance for each household member and practice changing the batteries in the dark. Most importantly, do not buy just one and assume the whole household can share it. At night, each person often needs to move in a different direction. One person goes to the kitchen for water, another takes care of the pets, and someone else looks for emergency medication. Each person needs an independent beam of light to act on their own. 8. Battery-powered LED lantern. A headlamp helps each person handle individual tasks. But when the whole family gathers in one room, moving beams constantly sweep across the dining table, shine into one another's faces, and suddenly disappear whenever someone turns their head, creating a very chaotic feeling. That is when an LED lantern serves its purpose, creating a steady, stable area of light that restores the family's living space. Place the lantern in the center of the dining table, and the room immediately regains a gathering point. Everyone can eat together, read emergency alerts, check medication labels, or talk without wearing a device on their forehead. For older adults, Evenly distributed 360-degree light makes it easier to see the edges of rugs, chair legs, and obstacles on the floor. The lantern's greatest value is turning one dark corner of the house into a safe island of activity. It is also a perfect replacement for candles. An open flame can easily ignite curtains or papers, or be knocked over by a pet. The U.S. Fire Administration, USFA, consistently recommends that people use battery-powered lights instead of candles during power outages. A brightness level of 300–600 lumens is usually enough for a living space. Choose a model with a frosted diffuser to prevent harsh glare, a wide base that resists tipping, a sturdy handle, and multiple brightness settings. The $15 to $40 price range meets the needs of most households. The lantern's placement has a major effect on its lighting performance. Positioning it slightly above table height helps the light travel farther. Placing it too low creates large shadows. One lantern should be placed in the living room, while another should be positioned near a hallway or staircase without blocking the walkway. One choice that seems reasonable but wastes power is running the lantern at maximum brightness all night. Use the low setting by default and increase the brightness only when you need to read small print or handle a specific task. Deliberately turning off lights in empty rooms will help the stored batteries last several more days. Do not leave the lantern in a cabinet for months and simply assume it still works. Check the battery compartment regularly. Address any signs of fluid leakage immediately, and always keep spare batteries of the same type nearby. 7. Rechargeable or battery-powered fan. The living room is now filled with light, but just a few hours after the air conditioning system shuts down, the sealed house begins absorbing and trapping all the heat from the day. The air becomes still. The sheets and pillows turn hot and damp. Older adults toss and turn, young children become fussy, and the entire household enters the next day physically exhausted. In that situation, a small rechargeable fan provides noticeable relief. A fan cannot lower the air temperature like an air conditioner. It moves the air and speeds up the evaporation of sweat from the skin, helping the body feel more comfortable as long as the room temperature has not exceeded a tolerable level. Its role is to create an acceptable resting space for those who need it most. The limited airflow must be prioritized for older adults, young children, people with underlying medical conditions, or anyone with a fever. Instead of placing the fan in the middle of the room and hoping the breeze reaches everyone, move it close to where they are resting. Running it at low speed provides a steady, gentle breeze while conserving battery power and limiting nighttime noise. When the outdoor air is cooler than the air inside, place the fan near a partially open window to help push hot air out or draw cool air in. During the day, closing curtains against direct sunlight and limiting cooking also helps the house build up heat more slowly. Rechargeable fan models cost around $20–40. Choose one with a stable base, a sturdy safety grille, a common charging port, and a battery level indicator so you can adjust the fan speed accordingly. However, problems often begin when people run the fan continuously at maximum speed. Or worse, believe that simply having airflow will always keep the body safe. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, warns that fans are only effective for cooling when the indoor temperature is below 90 degrees, or about 32 degrees. When the temperature rises above that point, strong airflow can actually increase the rate at which the body absorbs heat and does nothing to prevent heat-related illness. When the space becomes too hot, older adults and young children must be moved to community cooling centers, libraries, or public facilities with air conditioning. 6. Bathtub water storage bag. The weather report has just issued a storm warning. The power is still on, and the faucet is still running at full pressure. But within only a few hours, water pressure may drop, or the municipal water supply may come under a contamination advisory. That is the only window of time to put a bathtub water storage bag into use. When not in use, the folded bag sits quietly inside its box. When deployed at the right time, it turns the bathtub into a discreet, sterile reservoir that can store anywhere from several dozen gallons to as much as 100 gallons of clean water, or about 378 liters. The household preserves a reliable supply of tap water instead of rushing out to fight over cases of bottled water. Filling the bathtub directly cannot provide the same level of safety. Soap and cleaning product residue on the porcelain surface, along with a leaking drain stopper, can contaminate the water and cause it to drain away quickly. The specialized plastic bag creates a complete barrier that protects the water from dirt and insects. However, the bag is only designed for storage. It cannot filter or disinfect water that is already contaminated. Fill the bag only when the municipal tap water has been confirmed safe at that time. If authorities have already issued a boil water advisory, filling the bag is no longer very useful. The product costs around $35 to $40 and comes with a hand-operated siphon pump. Keep the pump nozzle clean and never place it on a dirty floor. Before laying out the bag, remove any sharp objects from the bathtub. Do not fill it past the marked limit. Place heavy objects on the bag or allow pets near it. The bag is designed for one-time use because drying and re-sterilizing the inside is nearly impossible. Hesitation can ruin the entire water storage plan. Many households store the bag too carefully, fail to read the instructions in advance, and do not assign someone to set it up. Once collected, this large volume of water must be distributed with discipline. Prioritize drinking, cooking, and essential hygiene. When the faucet officially stops running, the value of the water supply does not lie in the bathtub's capacity, but in the decision to fill it several hours earlier. 5. Portable butane stove and fuel. By the second day without power, the dry food supply is still full. Soup, noodles, rice, and oatmeal. But the induction or electric stove has completely shut down. After several meals of cold bread and canned food, the body begins craving warmth and the feeling of a real meal. That is the unique value of a portable butane stove. It unlocks the ability to prepare dry foods, reheat food, and create a hot meal in the middle of a shortage. However, this is absolutely not a device that can be placed just anywhere inside the house. A butane stove burns fuel and produces carbon monoxide, CO, a colorless, odorless, poisonous gas. The stove must be operated only by an adult and strictly according to the manufacturer's label instructions. A stove labeled outdoor use only must be operated outdoors, away from doors, windows, and vents. Simply cracking open a window cannot make an outdoor appliance safe to use indoors. Do not use a butane stove to heat a room. Do not use fuel canisters that show signs of dents or rust, and always keep children away from the cooking area. Automatic pressure shutoff or ignition mechanisms are only additional safeguards. They cannot correct a stove placed in an unsafe location. A hot meal can do a great deal to restore morale, but the flame is only truly valuable when safety discipline comes before convenience. And once the meal is finished, another countdown continues ticking. The phone battery is steadily running out, while the need for updates about what is happening outside becomes increasingly urgent. 4. High-capacity power bank. Last night, the phone screen showed 46%. This morning, only 19% remains. That small amount of energy has been spread across a few hurried calls, emergency alerts, one map check, and dozens of times turning on the screen to check for updates. Each action draws only a little power, but together they create a major deficit in the household's communication budget. A 20,000 dual-mAh power bank serves as the funding for that budget. Depending on the phone model and conversion efficiency, this capacity usually provides about 3 full phone charges. Models priced between $20 and $40 meet this need well. Choose one with a USB-C port that supports fast charging, a clear battery percentage display, and keep the correct charging cable stored right beside the power bank, so you do not have to search for it in the dark. From the moment the power goes out, every percentage point of battery must be assigned a clear purpose. Emergency rescue calls come first on the priority list. Next are government alerts, evacuation information, and communication with relatives. Entertainment videos, background apps, and the habit of constantly turning on the screen must be eliminated. Lower the screen brightness, enable battery saver mode, and use a headlamp instead of the phone's flashlight. Local maps and emergency phone numbers should be downloaded and saved on the phone in advance. If a USB fan, lantern, and several phones are all connected to the same power bank, that energy supply will run out very quickly. The entire household should agree to keep one primary phone for communication and preserve part of the backup battery for unexpected situations. The lithium-ion battery itself must also be monitored for safety. High temperatures or severe impacts can create a fire or explosion risk. Stop using the power bank immediately if its casing becomes swollen, cracked, or unusually hot. Check the product number on the Consumer Product Safety Commission's (CPSC) safety recall pages. Damaged or expired batteries must be disposed of according to local electronic waste regulations and never placed in household trash. The pocket-sized battery keeps the phone alive, but when the whole household needs more power for fans, lights, and other essential devices, the energy challenge must move to an entirely new scale. 3. Portable Life PO4 Power Station. The portable power station's display shows 72% remaining. In front of it are 6 plugs waiting to be connected. 2 phones, a fan, a lantern, a laptop, and the father's CPAP machine for treating sleep apnea. The power station cannot decide which device takes priority. People must make that decision. That is the unique role of a portable power station, becoming the energy control center for the entire house. Instead of trying to bring every wall outlet back to life, the household sorts each electrical load. Essential medical equipment must be placed at the top of the list according to a backup plan agreed on in advance with a medical specialist. It is important to clearly distinguish between the 2 specifications shown on the unit. Watt-hours, WH, indicate how much energy is stored inside, while watts, W, indicate the maximum load the station can supply at one time. A high WH capacity does not guarantee that the unit can power a device whose wattage exceeds its limit, and vice versa. Actual runtime is always lower than the theoretical estimate because of inverter conversion losses and ambient temperature. With a CPAP machine, turning on the humidifier can cause power consumption to rise several times over. Check the exact specifications of the specific CPAP model, speak with the provider, and perform a real-world test in advance. Life PO4, or lithium iron phosphate, batteries stand out because of their high thermal stability and lifespan of more than 3,000 charging cycles. The power station must be placed in a dry, level location with enough open space for heat dissipation and away from blankets and curtains. Pure sine wave output is essential to protect the sensitive circuitry inside medical equipment and electronics. When several devices are waiting to be plugged in, the challenge does not lie in the number of outlets on the unit, but in the operator's order of priorities. Chatut 2. Battery-powered or hand-crank NOAA weather radio. At first, the cellular network is still working. Text messages send slowly, but they still go through. Everyone believes the infrastructure will soon stabilize. Then the loading symbol begins spinning endlessly. Calls become completely disconnected. Even the distant sound of a fire engine siren is enough to trigger dozens of panicked rumors throughout the neighborhood. When official information is cut off, speculation immediately moves in. A NOAA weather radio creates an independent source of reliable information. The NOAA weather radio system is a dedicated broadcasting network that delivers weather alerts, forecasts, and disaster information directly from the National Weather Service. It operates entirely independently of the internet and cell towers, but requires a receiver designed for its dedicated frequency band. A standard AM/FM radio cannot receive NOAA frequencies. Radio signals can also be affected by mountainous terrain or thick concrete structures. That is why the radio's value must be established before the storm arrives. Find the frequency of the local station, check reception inside the house, and test the alert feature. Radios equipped with same technology allow you to enter the code for your area, so the unit sounds an alarm only when a threat directly affects your location, preventing the whole household from being startled by alerts for distant counties. Under normal conditions, the rechargeable battery or AA batteries serve as the primary power source, allowing the radio to operate reliably. The mechanical hand crank serves only as a last resort option for generating a small amount of electricity to keep listening to emergency broadcasts after every other battery source has been exhausted. When cellular service becomes unreliable, this small radio may be the only source that confirms which information is official, which areas have been closed off, and which evacuation routes authorities recommend. Rumors only make the household more panicked, while accurate information tells everyone exactly when they need to act. 1. Carbon monoxide alarm with battery backup. The house falls silent. There is no smoke rising. There is no unusual smell. But during a power outage, just one fuel-burning device placed in the wrong location can cause carbon monoxide, CO, to build up silently without anyone in the house knowing. CO is not naturally produced by a power outage. The danger appears when people try to operate gasoline-powered generators, camp stoves, charcoal grills, or fuel-burning heaters improperly. Prevention is always the first layer of protection. Every device labeled for outdoor use must be placed outdoors. Gasoline-powered generators must be positioned at least 20 feet, or about 6 meters, away from doors, windows, and vents. An open garage or covered porch is absolutely not a safe location. A CO alarm with battery backup serves as the final warning layer. The device continuously monitors the buildup of this colorless, odorless, tasteless gas and sounds a piercing alarm when concentrations exceed safe limits. It cannot prevent CO from being produced, cannot correct unsafe operation, and cannot replace basic safety rules. Choose a device that meets the UL 2034 safety standard, has not reached the end of its service life, and includes battery backup so it continues operating when grid power goes down. The device should be installed on every level of the home and directly outside sleeping areas according to the technical instructions. The test button and backup battery must be maintained regularly. When the CO alarm sounds, everyone must immediately move outside into fresh air, call 911, and return only after emergency personnel confirm that the house is safe. Never remain inside to search for the source of the leak, and never remove the device's battery simply because you cannot see smoke or smell anything unusual. Lights keep the house from feeling so dark. Fans keep the air moving. A power station maintains priority electrical loads. A NOAA radio brings accurate information into the room. The CO alarm ranks number 1 because it carries out a completely different mission. It warns everyone when they must leave the house. When the power grid stops working, the value of everything inside the house is immediately reordered. Expensive machines may become completely silent, giving way to small items that take over the life-sustaining functions the household is desperately searching for. That is the common thread connecting these 12 items. They protect food and clean water, maintain household lighting, help cool the body, preserve communication, receive essential guidance, and establish the final layer of safety warning. Emergency preparedness is really about clearly identifying which essential functions will disappear, then proactively equipping the household with replacement options before the emergency occurs. An item becomes invaluable not because its price suddenly rises, but because it restores the exact function the house is missing. If you could add only one item to your household after today, which one would your family choose? Share your thoughts in the comments below.